Hey everyone, this is Ricky with Spoiler Force Podcast, courtesy of Popluck Podcast. You can find more episodes of Spoiler Force Podcast on Apple Podcast, SoundCloud, YouTube, or on Facebook at facebook.com/popluckpodcast.
Spoiler Force Podcast! I choose you!
It's an LP beat.
Alright, so this is episode 23 of Spoiler Force Podcast. My name is Ricky. Today's Friday, October 4th, the start of one of the big 3 interviews I have for this month. I'm so excited for this episode, and I've been in talks with my guest here for roughly about 2 to 3 weeks now, just getting everything together, and I'm so grateful that he's been able to actually work well, and he's flexible with his time too. So I just want to introduce my guest here, owner and founder of Blue View Cinema, Josh Taube, correct?
Taube, actually.
Taube. See,
the E everybody does not know is you can say it. Yeah.
Okay, see that I've been saying it wrong for the past few episodes now because I kept saying Taube. I wasn't sure how to really say it. So it's Taube. Correct?
Yeah, Taube. It's the German thing
okay.
in my name. It's Taube. It's in German it's Taube, but it is Taube or Taube. I should say.
Okay, so
can't even get my own name right.
No, that's awesome. Again, just before we get started here, I do want to let fans know here. I'm getting over a cough, so if you hear me kind of trying to catch my breath or hear me touching some cough drops here, that's what it is. So hopefully I'm not I don't want to get you sick either, so I'll try not to get too crazy. But yeah, man, this is we've been in talks about this for a while now. And I know that we have some mutual friends as well with Andrew Lee, who's been a guest on my show, and Chin Yang. He's been a guest on my show as well too.
Right.
So how long have you been doing your your film work overall?
Yeah, I started. Oh man, it's gonna be actually in 2 years. It'll be 15 years. So I was about 14 when I started. I was working on some program that was kind of like The Sims, like the computer game The Sims. It was called The Movies.
Okay.
And you got to make your own scenes and stuff like that. And so I was kind of working on those, and I thought those were a lot of fun. And after a while, I was like, you know what? Why don't I bust out a camera and try to actually shoot some stuff myself? So, no, I've been doing this for about 13 years now. Professionally, I'd say about 5 years now.
Okay. And everything is pretty much funded through you. You have any sponsors or all?
No sponsors, but we have a heck of a crowdfunding source. I'd say we every year do some sort of Kickstarter, and we have a lot of fans that usually will donate $10, $20, whatever. But we tend to get a lot of our funding through crowdfunding.
Nice, yeah, and that's a big thing now with a lot of projects, and just not just in film but podcasting and artists really, in music and overall art. Crowdfunding has been something that's really helpful to this field of work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I know that as well. I've been watching some of your content on your YouTube channel as well.
Yeah.
Your one of your shows, The Film Office, which I am actually a fan of because I watched it all. And just not even 10 minutes ago, I met Eric back there, and you guys call him Keanu Reeves. So that's the first thing that came to mind when I saw him. Oh shit, it's Keanu Reeves.
I didn't even realize that was what you were referencing. It's just because everybody does call him Keanu Reeves, so that's pretty funny. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then I think I met him before too, because I was actually on this set of The Flyboys with.
I edited that.
Yeah, with Clean Slate. I saw him there too, but I didn't get to really meet him. I was just there for a good hour or so. I was just in the background.
Yeah.
So I got to see how Clean Slate and Chin's group, how they all did all the camera work, the production, and all that stuff. So I got a little bit of taste of that.
Yeah.
For your crew as well. I mean, you guys go through all that same process as well.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, over the last few years, we've really started to kind of finesse everything. And before it would be, maybe a couple days of pre-production, then just start shooting and hope for the best, and edit it afterward. Now we're starting to see that our pre-production process is 2 to 3 times longer than the rest of the process.
Okay.
So for instance, we just did a horror film that's actually going to be on a part of a competition called the Horror Film Roulette. That's the owner of this studio, actually runs it every year.
Okay.
It's like a horror film contest where people submit 5-minute shorts to compete, and they're all local. And this one we did. It was a 5-minute one. We actually sponsor this event every year too, and so we're not competing, but we're going to have our film there anyway. This film took about 4 weeks to basically plan. Between like we dug an actual grave, we made an actual coffin, tombstones, like everything from scratch. Sam Carroll, as our art director, did an amazing job at it. And so we put this all together, and my cinematographer Cole and I are going over all of the shots and everything like that. Then I'm sitting down with my first AD, John, and I'm like, all right, we got to go through this, and we got to make sure certain things are safe and certain protocols are put in place before we get things going. And then, got to talk to my executive producer and make sure we're spending the money, and flying in my makeup artist, Morgan, and like going through like this whole process. And it's crazy because the whole production is like 2 days long, but we're doing 4 weeks of planning just to get that all going.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we do that, we shoot it, and then get right into editing, which I'm a pretty quick editor, so I was able to cut the thing in about 2 days. And now we're sending it out to my musician, Matt Ratzel, who is actually bringing on somebody from the Detroit Symphony Orchestra to do the violin for.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've actually never seen them perform live, but I know that they are pretty good.
Oh, yeah. You're talking serious talent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I know that with filming as well, with all of your pre-production and editing, all that. Now, with your experience now, do you find yourself more comfortable with all of that too? Like, it's not so much of I guess it's not hassle, but it's not as difficult as it was before.
Yeah, in the beginning of things, it actually wasn't much of a hassle in the beginning because you're really just running out there with the camera and shooting. But then when you start realizing, okay, I need proper makeup, or I need to hire somebody that knows how to shoot, I need somebody who runs sound, that process starts getting a little bit uncomfortable because you got to start relying on these people. And especially when everybody's so new, you don't know if they're going to show up on set. You don't know if they're going to be any good at what they do. You kind of have to take a risk.
Okay.
And really, it is something you have to build up. And I'm at a point now with the team that I have, like, they're the cream of the crop. Like, these guys are here to work. They're hungry. They enjoy the art. And luckily, the stuff that I'm, writing or coming up with, they want to make just as badly as I do. Okay. So I think that's what helps, is having people that are on the same level of passion with you. And once they get to that level, there's nothing to worry about at that point. It's just making it happen. It's a ballet of sorts. And really, the only thing that scared us on this production was the rain, and that was it.
Okay. Now, speaking of all of this as well, I know that I just wanted to introduce your studio as well. And speaking of studios, thank you for actually opening this podcast studio and recording here.
Yeah, no problem.
I wasn't expecting to come here. What's funny is when I first drove up here, I'm like, he doesn't live here, does he? I'm like, okay. But yeah, no, everything was fine. I do want to just get into this as well because I know this topic here is going to be pretty much the stretch of this episode.
Absolutely.
So this person that we're going to be speaking about as well, he is definitely an inspiration of mine. You could say I jumped on the bandwagon on this because I didn't even get to know about this guy until like a few years ago.
Yeah.
And it was I got introduced to his work through memes on Facebook, which was funny because I believe it was like when Thor Ragnarok first was like the trailers were coming out, and Loki had that scene where he was like, I did not do this.
Yes.
So I saw that on Facebook, and I knew it looked familiar from clips from the Disaster Artist, and it just kind of just all fell together. Like I saw that, and I just saw I did not hit her, all that scene from The Room, and then it just everything came together, and I just looked up and I was fascinated by Tommy Wiseau's work, and not just his film as well, but like his overall, like how he got to where he was at, his mysterious background, just overall his art and craft as well.
Yeah.
And I know that you're a huge fan of him as well because you brought your script. And not only is our script signed, your script, he actually wrote something for you.
He did. He wrote me a little message. It says, P.S. Be good, P.S. Write good.
Okay. Yeah, for me, when I met him earlier this year, actually, in January.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was actually one of the first people in line, and he saw my stuff, and he came to me. He was like, oh, I saw you brought my script. Let me put a heart on that so that... you could be the first one to have it. So like he does it really quickly. He signs my my DVD, and it was pretty awesome. But like Tommy Wiseau is, I mean, people make fun of his film The Room, but I find it fascinating because, like you, he's a filmmaker. He pretty much had his team, and everything that he did to make his movie was pretty, like, he worked really hard on it. I read like halfway through the actual book of the Disaster Artist through Greg Sestero's eyes, and just like reading it, you can see how hectic it was on the set.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you can relate to that as well.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, just what about Tommy Wiseau kind of like resonates with you as a filmmaker as well?
So what I love about Tommy Wiseau is he's probably one of the most fearless men in the world. Like, he's a guy that, you know, essentially people felt had no talent, you know, had a face that wouldn't work for Hollywood. And he said, screw it, I'm going to make this movie anyway. And he wasn't afraid to go out there and perform, and even if he looked ridiculous, he didn't care. And for me, I've always been a big fan of anybody who's just willing to take a risk, even if everything feels like it's against them. And that's how I feel with my own work. Like, in the beginning, when I first started out, you know, my family was supportive, but I think, like anything, you know, you're kind of like, okay, he's making movies, but, you know, maybe he'll get into like computers or something, or science or whatever. And, you know, so I think everybody thought this was going to become like a hobby for me more than it would be a career. And so because of that, I think it encouraged me to just keep working harder and really proving that, no, this is not a hobby, this will be a career, and this will become a success story. And for me, so far, we're succeeding. Are we at the level of success I want to be? Hell no. We still got a long way to go. But we're making strides. And every year, my team is looking at the work we put out, and it just gets better every year. And for me, that speaks volumes. So, no, Tommy's like my inspiration because, yeah, I mean, the guy was set up to fail, and yet he did not fail. He succeeded. He succeeded hard.
Right.
You know?
And, you know, through his succession, like, it may not have turned out the way how he wanted it, but at the end, he still won, you know, especially with this huge cult following of The Room. And now, did you watch the film when it was first released at all, or when did you first get introduced to The Room?
About 5 years ago, actually. A buddy of mine, his name's Tony, he brought it up, and he's like, I really like this movie, it's ridiculous, you should watch some of it. So he showed me a couple of scenes, and of course he showed me the classic, I did not hit her, I did not. And I'm like, okay, this guy's weird, but like, whatever, you know. So I just kind of passed on it. And then I decided to watch it, and I'm like, this is terrible. You know, what am I even seeing right now? Like, none of this makes sense. People are walking in and out of this room like it's you know, an episode of Full House or something. And then why is he the lead actor? Like, who casted him? And then I find out he directed it and he wrote it and all that. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense, but like, how did he get this funded? And it's like, it's self-funded. It's like, okay, this is all making sense. What the hell? Like, why does this exist? You know, but after you start watching it a few more times and you start seeing the heart that's involved in it, and you see the passion. And again, for a project that really should not deserve any praise based on, you know, production value and the things we're used to in film, but it deserves praise in the sense that it was a project that was pursued and sought out till the end, and he somehow people responded positively to. I don't know, it's wild. I'm jealous in a sense.
I can totally relate to how you felt watching the film, because like the first time I watched it on YouTube when it was, I guess there's some videos on YouTube that has the full film of The Room. I was at work on my lunch break, and I guess every day until I finished it, I was watching it, you know, the film. Mm-hmm. And I was so in awe of it at the same time, but I was just like, it's so terrible.
Yeah.
But you can't stop watching this film. No. And the way how he just presents his character, Johnny, he's the all-American, the perfect hero, right? Yeah. But at the same time, I'm just like, why? You know, it just I could not figure out like why I was so into this film. And then I even like my family. They think I'm weird because I'm such a huge fan of Tommy Wiseau. They're, why do you like this guy so much? He looks weird. He sounds weird. His film sucks. I showed my parents the film, and like they're like, is this how are you actually watching this whole thing? And it just, like you said, he has passion in the film, and it's something I guess very few viewers can see in this film. But yeah, like it's very inspiring in a sense. And I know that as well, your script was signed by him too. So when did you first meet Tommy Wiseau? Like, I know it was at a screening for sure.
Yeah, oh yeah. It was before The Disaster Artist came out. It was early, like 2017. Yeah, it was at the Royal Oak Main Art Theater. And we were actually the first ones too. We got a picture with him as well. And yeah, I went right up to him and I gave him, the script, because obviously I had to have the script, being a writer myself. And he's got his whole get up right, the sunglasses and the 300 belts on his waist and all that stuff. And yeah, he's over here just like, come on, let's take a picture. Come on, everybody, let's go. Just his whole demeanor. And little did I know that I'd be a part of a competition involving him later that year. It's just funny how that all worked.
Talk about that as well, because I saw the clip where you and your team, you guys did the scene of the room.
Yeah.
At downtown Detroit.
Yeah.
In the ice skating rink. You entered that contest online? Is that what?
Yeah. So A24, the studio that distributed The Disaster Artist, had a competition where you had to reenact a scene from the room in a public place. And so my team and I were sitting down and we're like, okay, where could we go? And I believe it was Mark who had said, or it was his sister Marlene, one of them, said, why don't you do the scene on ice? And I'm like, that's so ridiculous, that could work. And so we talked about it, and then they said, why don't we do the death scene? And I'm like, done. So I dressed up as him, and I went out there, and I had my friends Julie, Alex, and Chuck, and they all played the respective characters. And I go out on the ice rink, and I just remember going like, we're going to get arrested, like something's going to happen, because we had no clearance for this, right? We just decided to go out there and do it. And I do the death scene, and I pull out, instead of a gun, I pull out a spoon, because obviously fans get the spoon reference. And and then I die. And so I'm laying there sprawled out on the ice. Security guard sees me and he's like, what's going on here? And he skates over to me and he's like, get up, man. And I'm laying there like, nope, I'm not getting up because the scene's not done yet. I gotta wait on the other three to come up and mourn my dead body. So finally they come over and he sees them and he's like, oh, and like he gets what's going on. It's like a whole stunt. So obviously I get up and I tell him thanks and I leave. And then then we find out just a couple days later that we won the whole competition. And Seth Rogen actually retweeted our video.
Nice.
On his Twitter. We got 60,000 views from it. And then A24 reached out to me and they're like, we loved it. You won the whole thing. And I'm like, holy crap, like I did not expect that. And they gave us this like Oscar trophy of Tommy Wiseau doing his "You're Tearing Me Apart, Lisa" pose. And it's like the size of an Oscar basically. It's pretty cool. It's probably my prized possession, most prized.
Yeah, and I know we spoke earlier about you bringing it here, but I think it's too important to drive it here, and
it's delicate. It's
my
baby.
I know, like after the episode here, you're gonna show me a photo of it.
Oh yeah,
well, so,
I'll definitely.
No, that's awesome. No, but
yeah,
that's so crazy because the first time I watched your team and you do that, I guess the video for the contest, it was just hilarious because the guard he's just so lost, like, and then the whole death scene and the red dress, and you're like, oh my god, like how he's humping the dress.
Yeah, I gotta awkwardly hump his dress, and then there's like kids skating in the background and stuff. And here I'm doing these like lewd gestures and stuff, and I'm like, I gotta commit.
Now, do you know how many other teams entered this contest as well? Was it
hundreds.
Contest? Okay.
Yeah, this was national, the whole competition. So there were, I think, like a good 100 to 200 people that submitted to this.
Okay.
So, no, I mean, it was pretty big deal. Like it wasn't like some like little tiny contest. You know?
Right.
Having the studio involved and all that stuff was so cool. I have no idea if James Franco saw it or not, but that would have been cool too. Or Tommy did not see it because I went and saw him a year later, and I'm like, "Did you check out this thing?" He's like, "I don't know what you're talking about," and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Have you met Greg Sestero at all?
I haven't met him, but he did send us a video congratulating us on winning, which was pretty
Nice.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually like one of my goals to meet Greg as well, because you know it's funny because everything's always focused on Tommy. We forget that Greg was a huge part of this film as well, like not just in the cast but also in production and everything. But I do want to meet him. Do you have their latest film, Best Friends?
Oh yeah, I went to both the screenings when those came out.
Oh, okay.
Volume 1 and 2. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to go to a screening for that, but I ended up buying it on Blu-ray on Amazon.
Nice.
So yeah, it was. I really liked the first volume, and then the second one got kind of weird, and you could see the whole Tommy aspect of it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, obviously it's not going to top The Room, but I mean, as a film in itself, like I'm glad they made it. And there were definitely some good scenes, like in the beginning when he's like, "Well, don't just stand there like Statue of Liberty or something." Like,
Right.
I love that line so much. But no, yeah, it was good. It was good.
Yeah. So Tommy's the only cast member you met from The Room so far?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Because I met him at Royal Oak too at the Main Art Theater, and I was hoping that Greg would show up, and I heard that you know, sometimes the fans get to meet Tommy, like he'll go to like their apartment or whatever, and I don't know. Do you follow their groups on Facebook at all?
Not really. No.
No. Okay. Because I'm in both groups for Tommy Wiseau and for Greg, and for one of Greg's videos, he was actually hanging out with fans at their house and stuff.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
Hopefully I get to meet them enough to where like, hey, you know, come in podcasts or something.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be so cool.
Now your experience at the Room screening, I'm pretty sure like everyone who has gone to these, it's a crazy experience.
Oh yeah.
And I knew what I was like going in for, but at the same time I'm just like, I didn't know how to react to it because everyone was
Right.
chucking spoons and screaming and kicking and like,
Oh yeah.
you know, I was so, I guess, nervous to kind of participate, and by the time I knew it, I was screaming with them, spoons, like F you, Lisa, like, no, don't do this, you know.
Yep.
I was interacting with all of that, and it was such a crazy experience. And how was your experience when you went? It was pretty much the same? Or
Yeah, I mean, I've gone twice, and the first time was way more engaging than the second time. But the first time, I mean, yeah, the spoons were insane. Like they did because I had this whole like playbook of like what people do at the screenings. I'm like looking through, and they're like, okay, this happens, this happens, this happens, and it was like everything. It's like some guy, like it almost felt facilitated in some way. Somebody would come up, they'd reenact it, they'd do this, they do that. But the second screening, I was a little annoyed because there was a guy that kept saying it like he was 2 rows ahead, and he would take the spoons people would throw forward, turn around and chuck them behind him. And he hit me in the face one of the times. So I made it my whole mission. Every time we threw spoons, I would chuck the spoon right at him and make sure it hit him right in the back of the head. I was just so mad. I was like, hit me right in the face with spoons, you're going to get hit in the back. You know, of course, they're all plastic, so he's not going to get hurt. But, like, it's just, you know, just a little irritating. Some people ruin those kinds of experiences, right?
Yeah. I didn't have too bad of an experience. But, I mean, there are some people who go overboard with the whole interaction and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, did you also participate in Tommy's Q&A as well?
Yep,
Okay.
I asked him just to sign my trophy, which he did.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think I asked him anything else. But yeah, his Q&As, he just says whatever he wants.
Yeah, like I have my experience on YouTube on my channel. It's about like 15 minutes or so. But like he's so good at avoiding questions because he's so calm about it. He's like, okay, next question.
Yeah,
And just brushes it off.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, there's some fans that ask some really stupid questions, but at the same time, like when they start trying to get like personal or try to figure out who he is more behind the scenes besides what we see in person, he's so good at just like ignoring. He's like, okay, next question. It's like, oh, okay, whatever, next question. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa, like no wonder no one knows who he is. I mean, he's so good at being secret, but at the same time, he's so exposed
Right.
as an artist. And even Greg's experience in disaster artist look. Like he knows, he's been friends with Tommy all this time, yet he still doesn't know like that real background of Tommy.
Right. He probably never will.
I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that he's like from, I know he's mentioned he's from Europe, but do you think he's like Polish or he's older?
His age, he's got to be hitting 60 at this point, minimum. He's from Europe for sure. I'm willing to say he's closer to France as far as where he's been from. But, no, I mean, I think as far as his money, I think he did obtain him through, like business means. I don't think he's done anything like illegal. I think it's just, I don't know. I think he's just, there's, how there's some people out there, they just want to be mysterious just for the sake of being mysterious. I feel like there's a lot of parts about Tommy that are actually not that mysterious, but if we all knew about it, we would question less, and he'd probably be out of the public eye. So
right,
really, like, if we ever end up finding out the truth, like, it probably won't be as shocking as we think. That's my guess.
Because there's so many theories out there, and like, I mean, there's some that's beyond, people saying he's a vampire and whatnot.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
No, I guess like I guess if the truth did come out at the same time, I agree with you. Said like, I don't think we would actually be taken away by the truth.
No.
It'd just be like, oh, okay, so we thought that and it was right the whole time.
Yeah.
No, but again, man, this guy is just so mysterious, and I think that's what makes him so like unique to me as as a fan. I mean, even in the room, like his writing speaks for itself. Like Johnny, he doesn't give Johnny much background. He's just like, yeah, he's a business guy. He deals with banking and all that stuff, and his character just goes in and out, and he's always with Denny and and Lisa and all those other characters. I actually watched the film earlier this week just to take down some notes on some of my favorite scenes, and I gotta say one of my favorite scenes in the room was definitely the Chris R scene. And even in the screenings, the special screenings, people love Chris R.
Yeah.
For some odd reason. And
he's the best actor, that's why.
Yeah. And that too, and also like the background of that scene, how it was shot. He had to come back and reshoot the scene, which I find so hilarious, because the first scene they did was in the alley, and then they changed it to the rooftop scene. And it's so great, because like how he gets Denny on the floor, and then you see Tommy and Greg's character, just walk through the back, and like Tommy's facial expression is like, oh my God, let's get him and let's take him to the police. Like it's so great. And oh man, like that character or the actor himself is phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
And he's one of the guys I want to meet too. And surprisingly, if you look, I don't know if you follow Robin Paris, like she did the mockumentary.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. Where Are They Now?
And surprisingly, he aged pretty well from The Room, and like a lot of them still look the same. I think Denny looks terrible.
Yes.
He's changed.
Oh yeah, actually, Lisa's mother, the one who plays Lisa's mother, she looks almost the exact same.
Yeah,
it was weird.
The mockumentary, I thought it was pretty neat too, because like you get to see what they're doing after, and I also as an actor, like I spoke to Chin about this too in one of our episodes. Like those actors came in not knowing what they were in for. They all thought that it was an actual, like, we're about to be in a legit film and we're going to put all of our effort into it. And I think that's what makes The Room so, again, it's just such a standout film, because everyone was serious in this film. Yeah. Not knowing how it was going to turn out to be the way how it was. And now, I guess for your process for finding actors, are you always like into the auditions as well? Like you see every person that comes into your castings as well?
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, I usually do almost all of the casting. Some of them go through an audition process. Some I know, from the circles, or I've seen their work or whatever, and I'm just like, that's not necessary. It really just depends. But most of the time I will skip the audition process, only because, again, I've probably seen something they're in, or I just have a really good feeling, and I go off of that feeling. Some would say that may not be the best way to go, but so far it's worked out for me. But yeah, I usually I go with my gut.
Okay. Now, do you try to stick with, I guess, the actors that you already know and worked with before, or do you tend to look out for more like new actors?
It really depends on the project. Most of the time, I've used Al Camargo. He's the guy that gets angry at me like all the time on the film office set.
Okay. Oh, was he in The Trap too? Is that him?
Oh, the Cat's Game one?
Yeah.
Yeah, the horror film? Yeah. He's in Cat's Game too. He's the one with the glasses and he's got the mustache. Yeah.
Okay.
Al I use almost all the time. And I mean, for good reason. He's great. He's excellent at what he does. But yeah, no, I mean, I do want to switch it up, and I have been. We've been making a sketch comedy series called Comedy with Errors, and our goal has been to use different actors in each sketch. So it's not just Al; it'll be different people. But a lot of the actors so far, yeah, I've used a few times, but I really do try to spice it up. And the horror film we're doing, actually, we were using the guy. His name's Chris Donahue, and he has never been in a movie before, and so, which for somebody like myself who's done a lot of films, it's crazy to bring somebody like that on, but I had a lot of faith in Chris because I met him in an acting class that I took, and I was like, this guy's got it. He's got a look I'm looking for. He's got commitment. I mean, he reached out to me like twice a week and asked his backstory for the character and all that stuff. Like, you're talking top notch as far as like an actor who studies, like wants to learn the role. And I mean, he delivered. I showed the performance so far on where we're at to people, and they're like, dang, this guy's really good. Like, he's got the chops, and he does. He's fantastic. And so for me, I feel like just because you use somebody new, doesn't mean they're not capable for the role. Like, they could be very capable. It's just you got to have a director or somebody, managing the project that knows what they're doing. And luckily, I'd like to say I know what I'm doing to an extent. And so working with Chris, I knew I'd be able to get him to do what we need, and he delivered.
Okay. Now, I know that as well, like for each of the roles that you're casting, it's obviously you have a certain look already for what you want.
Right.
Now, has there been any times where you like changed characters because they had like, I guess, a different kind of style that you wanted to work with, or do you kind of just stick to what you usually have originally?
So are you saying like more so like
have you made any changes because there was a certain actor that was pretty well in their audition, or do you just kind of leave it as
Oh, I see. Okay. So yeah, like maybe something they brought to the table that changed my I'd say for the most part, usually they stick to what I'm looking for, but I've had some moments where like I've kind of, maybe made some tweaks. I wouldn't say fully like transform the character, but like, I'd notice like some of them would bring on a trait of their own to the character, and I'd go, okay, you know what, actually, I like what you're doing here. Like there was one guy, his name's Matt. He was in a short film we did called Candy Cop, and it was about a cop who like pulled over people for smuggling candy into movie theaters. And we came up with this persona for him to have like this southern cop accent, like very like kind of stereotypical in a sense, like, what you doing over there? What you got? That kind of thing. And he decided to take a big glob of Big League Chew and just shove it in his mouth. And he made that his character. So this whole time he's got his mouth full, and he's like, what you doing over there? Blah, blah, blah. And he's got his mouth full. And I'm like, this is fantastic. Like it's almost like it's chewing tobacco in a sense, but with gum, And so like there's little things like that I notice some of my characters will do, or my actors will do, to enhance their character just a little bit. And it does wonders.
Okay. And again, just to stick on this topic, since we're rolling with this,
yeah,
you don't have to name drop anyone, but have you? Obviously, you've seen some terrible auditions, and I mean, can you speak of how like some of the auditions you've seen that like was not what you not what you wanted at all?
There's it's funny as far as auditions go. I mean, I haven't seen anything like outstandingly bad, but I'd say like I've definitely had people come in and read, and really the worst that it gets is it's just the reading. Like they'll pick up a script, they'll look through it, and it's like they're just reading like they're in class. There's no emotion, there's nothing like going on. It's like they're dead inside almost. It's weird, like robotic. And so I'd say that's probably the worst I've seen. Luckily, like I haven't seen, because anything really bad could be dangerous.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, most of the ones, like the bad auditions, are usually just the ones that don't have any emotion. It's like, I don't know why they came, kind of thing. Did they just, come to like give it a shot, or? But yeah, that's I'd say the worst I've seen.
Now, do you also take part at the Royal Oak Film Festival at all?
Yeah, we submitted a film 2 years ago called People, Places, and Things, and we actually flew in 2 actors from Los Angeles to do that film. It was a comedy sketch, comedy short, not a sketch. And it was the actors' names were Holland McFallister and Sam Disanyake. I can never say his name properly, so sorry, Sam. But they were in a movie called The Greasy Strangler. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
No.
So it's a movie that Elijah Wood produced, and it was like just this weird film. And I saw them in it. It was like a really small role they were both in, but they were just so funny. They kept talking about potato chips, and they just kept going back and forth. And he'd be like, what kind of chips are these? And he'd say, potato. And he'd say it so fast, and he's like, what? He's like, potato. And he just keeps saying it back and forth. And I was cracking up, and I'm like, I would love to use these guys in something. So I just reached out to them on Facebook. I found their Facebooks, reached out, and they're like, yeah, we'll come out. And I'm like, that's it? That's all you, yeah, okay, like, sounds good to me.
Nice.
So yeah, they came out and they did this film, but yeah, we submitted it to the Royal Star, and we got some very good feedback. We didn't win anything for it, but the feedback was really nice, hearing that, they're like, you guys are funny, it's very professional, all that stuff. So but yeah, no, it was really cool to be a part of that. And I love Royal Star Film. I love what they're doing, because I think it's one of the few festivals where, like, almost everything is of pretty good quality. Like,
yeah.
There's a lot of local ones out there that you're looking at the films and you're like, oh my goodness, like, I get they're local, but like, come on, And again, it's good, but it depends on where you're at, right? Like, Royal Star is for people in the industry. Other film competitions, it's meant for everybody, and I understand that too, and I definitely don't want to ever discourage, like, somebody who wants to get into it. Like, just because it's not A+ quality doesn't mean you shouldn't make a film. Like, that's how you become A+ quality, is you keep going at it. My stuff in the beginning was awful. I was using, it was like a flip video camera. It was 720p at the highest quality, and I was shooting it at 480 because I didn't know what I was doing. And so everything would look boxy and square and just awful, and audio was bad. Audio was through the camera. We weren't using boom poles and all that stuff, so...
Okay.
So no, that's what I love about Royal Star, though, is like, that's more the caliber I want to fit into, is because they're all very professional in what they do with their films.
I've actually been to, like, I believe I've been to 2 of their screenings. Definitely just to be there for supporting Clean Slate, because again, because of our mutual friend Chin. I've been to, I forgot what years I went to. I think it was 2016, 2017 I went. No, I do like the fact that, like, a lot of these, I guess, these smaller independent film crews, the production that they make is phenomenal. Like, I wasn't expecting that from all these independent groups. Yeah. I mean, even your work as well. I mean, what you do a lot in Cat's Game, that one was, to me, I thought, wow, you guys did really great, because
thank you.
The quality was outstanding. And Andrew told me a little bit how you guys got the set of that house. Like, one of your buddies was like moving out or cleaning the basement.
It was my musician, yeah.
Yeah, and like, it was already how it was, and so you guys just used it. And it had like that really eerie, I know you guys it was like a psychological thriller.
Yep.
Yeah, so it had like really eeriness to it, which from when I first watched it, I was hooked. I was like, what, man, they got me. Especially at the end, like, it was just weird at the end, like, was it Al that was laughing at Al?
Yeah, he's staring at yeah. Oh, so good. No, Al, I was telling him, I'm like, the last shot of that movie, I'm like, that's the best acting I've ever seen from you, because he's got that maniacal stare down right at the camera almost, or just past it, and he's just smiling. And it's funny because that last shot, he's not acting. We were filming 16 hours straight for that film. He had like, he's just exhausted, delirious, like all of that, and it just really added to it. I feel bad because he was probably like just, sleep deprived and everything, but sometimes you got to sacrifice it for the art.
Now, speaking of the whole longevity of shooting, what's the longest you've actually shot before?
Oh, like over time?
Yeah.
I'd say it was actually my first feature film. It took about 2 years. It was called Unfinished Business, which I don't recommend watching if you're trying to take me seriously as a director. Again, I was 19 at the time. But yeah, it took about 2 years because we had to have a delay. And I think it was like 20 shooting days roughly, and everybody did it for free. I think the whole movie cost me like $500, and which is nothing, right? Like it was equipment and food. That was basically it. But man, it was grueling, and like, you had to go through and try to match everything up, and I didn't have anybody, like anybody that was doing it professionally. I had a lot of talented people helping, but nobody who was really in the film industry. So yeah, obviously the quality isn't going to be like, A quality, but it was still, I think that was the time where I learned, just what it required, what I needed to make a film. And you definitely learn right away that, okay, I need a proper sound guy, I need a proper cinematographer, I need proper actors, right? Because these were all people from Best Buy. Like, they didn't have acting experience. They did. Some of them surprised me with how they acted. They actually did pretty good. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, they're not actors. They're doing it because they're your friends.
I guess going through directing as well. I had a cousin that was actually in the set of Gran Torino, and he said that Clint Eastwood would kind of just go around, and when they would do their shots, he knew what he wanted exactly, so he would just get that and then be done. So have you had experiences like that where you knew exactly what you wanted in the shot, and just kind of just go through and just do it like within 1 or 2 takes, and that was it?
Yeah, so it's funny. Cat's Game was definitely that.
Okay.
Cat's Game, like, I wrote the shot list up, and it was funny because I was working with my director of photography, Mylan. And I was like, he was shooting some of it and everything. And then there'd be a couple of times I'm just like, give me the camera. I want it. I know what I want. And I just grab it and put it there. And he's like, all right. Go ahead. And yeah, so there's like a few shots that I consider to be like the most memorable. And it was because I, in that moment, like hastily like put the camera where I wanted it. And I remember sitting back and going like, that's my shot. Like that is what I pictured in my head. And it's very rare when you get those moments, because most of the time you get kind of a general consensus of what you're looking for, but to see it like where it's like, holy crap, like I feel like I literally took an image out of my brain and here it is. Like those are the most surreal moments, because then it's like, it's another level from there. Because I think every filmmaker runs into the problem where they have this amazing idea in their head, but they can never translate it through their work, or it just never executes properly. Like you have this amazing script, right? Great dialogue, great scenes, all that stuff, but then you're executing it and it's like, this isn't coming across like you wrote it.
Right.
And Cat's Game was like one of just the few projects that we've done where I feel like it was like the execution matched the pre-production, matched the writing, and that was just really exciting to see. So yeah, no, I'm starting to have more of those moments, Ricky. Okay. I'm definitely having more of those moments now that I have the experience. But in the beginning, I barely knew what I was doing. I was like, camera here, that looks good, and then you move on.
Now that with your crew as well, and since you're directing and doing all the other parts of the project as well, now, do you have multiple writers on your team too? Like not just you writing?
As far as writing the script, it's usually just me. But before we write the script, I usually will bring on a few of the guys, and we kind of throw ideas around, and because I want to get multiple opinions. I think that's the one thing. Like they always say the old phrase is too many cooks in the kitchen, and I think that is true when it's a lot of people that don't know what they're doing. But I think if they know what they're doing or they have experience, it's kind of nice to have that many cooks. Okay. And usually in the beginning we'll throw around some ideas and things like that. With the Scary Stories one though, I'd say primarily it was myself. I'm sure an idea or two was thrown my way, but that one, because we were adapting an old story and turning it into a film, it only needed a few small tweaks, and so that's what I just went in with. But yeah, like Cat's Game, it wasn't all me that really wrote that. Like I wrote the screenplay, but I didn't write, everything that was in it. So a lot of that was Matt Ratzel, my musician, and Mark Fritz. Like Mark Fritz actually came up with the ending. We had an idea for an ending, and then he just expanded upon it. The dialogue, he wrote the dialogue, even though it was like 3 lines. It's still like that was his dialogue. So, so no, it can be that way, but I find that when you have multiple heads in it in the writer's room, like you're usually going to get a better product because that person's going to cross out the other. My buddy Dom is like my kind of go-to guy with a lot of the writing too. Like we're currently working on an anthology right now, a movie we want to do, and it's 5 short films, horror films, and they're going to be based on the 5 senses.
Oh,
so
nice.
like each film is based on a sense. And so we've written up 2 of them, but that's kind of one of the big projects we want to do because it's been a while since we've done a feature. We've done all shorts. So it'd be nice to have something that we could say is full length. We could pitch to like, an Amazon or a Netflix or a Hulu or YouTube or whatever, Everybody's always like, I'm going to pitch it to Netflix. Like, let's be real. There's like 15 streaming providers. There's a lot more to pick from now. We don't just have to go to Netflix. But yeah, no. So we're the anthology is nice because it's short films that we can turn into a feature versus just one whole story. Because I don't know if I have the writing capability just yet to do an hour-and-a-half feature, but I definitely have the writing capability to do 5 20-minute shorts.
Okay, and that's what you're pretty much aiming for with these. With your projects.
Yeah, so that's the next big project we're working on right now is this anthology. Because I'm like, you know what? We need to do something a little bit more ambitious than a 5-minute short once a year.
Right,
you know?
And, I mean, the shooting, like, from a 5-minute short production versus, like, a 20-minute one, obviously the workload is a lot more. Now, do you find yourself, I guess, trying to squeeze more into, I guess, less time at all? Or do you expand your, I guess, your production time out more because of that? Yeah,
no, I mean, it really depends on obviously the project for the most part, but I just kind of play it out. Like if I'm writing if I write a 5-page script, I'm hoping it will be 5 minutes, but with the amount of action and pacing with certain things, sometimes you want to drag a scene out a little bit longer. It can be 6 minutes. It can be 8 minutes. I mean, Cat's Game was like 5 pages and it turned into a 10-minute film. I'm like, what the heck? What happened? But I learned that like if you can make it shorter, do it. Like if you can make it shorter, do it. But if you can't, then let it play out. Let the scene play out. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It just depends on where you're putting it. If you're submitting it to a competition, then yeah, you probably should adhere to the guidelines. But if it's just like you're making art, like art has no limit. If it's a 3-hour story or if it ends up being a 3-hour film and that's what you feel is your vision, then make it a 3-hour film. But yeah, if you can make it 4 minutes long, like, I mean, I don't know about you, but I can't go much longer than 10 minutes on a YouTube video. Like after that, you're kind of like, okay, I'm not even going to click on this because it's 15 minutes long. Like, that's the thing. We want digestible stuff nowadays.
Right.
And I think that's why I want to go toward the anthology route because I'm going to put you in a different world every 20 minutes versus like a movie. I got to stay here. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully I like it because I'm on the ride for another hour and a half.
Right.
So, yeah.
And I guess with your, like, do you kind of just study your audience to see like what they're trying to draw from you as well as a film team as well?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, the big thing is like looking at what people actually want to watch. Unfortunately, I think our culture right now is not as into cinema as they used to be. I think a lot of them are into those YouTubers that are doing like either prank videos or just like, videos that are based on reality in some way. There's like that seems to be what the content is now, but there are still a lot of us, thank the Lord, that want to still watch a movie. And so what I'm looking at is I think people, want to see something that they know, whether it's like Marvel or DC or, Star Wars or something like that. But at the same time, I think there's still a niche audience that really likes something original too. We want something fresh, and if it's if it's something we're not used to, I think in the beginning we might shy away from it. But I think ultimately, if we invest a little more time, we find it to be a lot more rewarding than watching the same hashed out stuff. Because I don't know about you, but I can watch it, but I'm kind of getting tired of the superhero films. There's just so many, and I love them. I love Iron Man and Batman and all that stuff. But there comes a point where it's like, all right, I've seen so much of you, like I want something else.
Right.
You know, so I think we're getting to that time where we're starting to get kind of like franchised out, like in a way. Like we're like, okay, give us something new, man.
Now, what do you think about the whole, I guess, Disney remaking films? What are your thoughts on that?
I like their idea of it, where you know they want to sort of introduce it to a new generation. I think that part of it is cool, but to me, it screams cash grab.
Exactly.
You know, like Aladdin and Lion King and all that stuff. Like, I hate you because I love those and I'm gonna go see it. You know, but like at the end of the day, like you just can't help but feel like nope, they're doing it because they need some more cash in their pocket, and this is such an easy way and brilliant way. I mean, if I was a Disney executive, I would do this all day. It makes sense, but like I am hoping that Disney will, you know, try to put as much effort into the unique new ideas versus just bringing out the same stuff. And I know they do. Obviously, there's different Pixar films and things like that, but that's the only thing. I am getting nervous that we're becoming like a rerun culture.
And do you find that more difficult now, trying to make new content, I guess, versus like people wanting just rehashed or like remakes of old things?
Yeah, you know, I'd say there's a level of it where I'm a little nervous, but at the same time I'm optimistic because like I know there's people that are just like me, that are like, I want something fresh. And luckily I think the horror film market is like a beautiful place to look at, because one, they're cheap. If you look at a horror film versus a Marvel film, do you really think a horror film costs that much? Heck no. It's probably like big boy budgets, it's probably under $1 million, which is a lot of money. But for that, it's super cheap too. Like Get Out, I think it was like $5 million, and most movies are like 20 to 30. So That's a huge difference. And think about the rate of return too. Like Get Out made like I think over $100 million. That's an investment. Like that's an investment I want to make. So no, I think for horror films, I think there's a serious, optimistic outlook you can have on those. I think those are coming. I think more people are excited about them. I'm seeing bigger crowds. I'm meeting more people that are into it. But yeah, I still think that we're in the age of remakes and nostalgia and all that stuff, and people seem to eat it up like crazy because they're like, I think people are worried about where they spend their hard-earned cash, and they don't want to spend $10 on something they're not sure of. They're going to spend $10 on something like Aladdin or Lion King, where they're like, I know this story. I know I'm going to like it, you know?
And they're comfortable with what they're spending their money on.
Right. Like, for instance, if there's two restaurants side by side, let's say you're a big fan of McDonald's, and next to it it's Johnny's Restaurant. You're going to go to McDonald's most likely because you know what McDonald's is about and you know what you're going to order. Right. You don't know what Johnny's Restaurant has, and you're afraid if you go in there and you hate the meal, you just wasted your money. So you're going to spend your money at McDonald's. And I think that's what people are doing, is they keep going to McDonald's, Disney, because they know Disney's going to give them something they're familiar with. And I don't know. I would love to see our audience members take more risks with what they watch.
Yes. And just speaking of risk, for those who are listening, take a chance and watch The Room, please.
Yes.
Because not only is that movie a great investment, again, as you spoke before, Taube and Wiseau took a huge risk in making this film. And before I wrap things up here, I had you bring your script because I wanted to do this, I guess, for the first time, because I don't know if you listen to Rob Paulson's podcast, but he does like readings of scripts.
Okay.
But, I'm not a voice actor, but I know that you do your Tommy Wiseau impressions as well. I know that you in one of your film office episodes, you did the Halloween one where you dressed as Tommy Wiseau.
Yes. And
your camera guy dressed as someone else, but you got like, what the hell, man? Like, we're the same.
I know. The kindergarten cop he looked like, but yeah, we looked the same almost.
But yeah, so the scene I wanted us to read from, and
okay,
let me see if I haven't found the exact page, but the most iconic scene for sure is the rooftop scene of Mark.
Yeah, I did not hear it.
And Johnny.
Gosh, I don't even know what
right now
would be in here.
I should have looked more into it.
No, you're good.
Oh, right here. Okay, it's page 46, I believe.
46. Okay.
Yeah. So I will let you have the main part. You can impersonate Tommy as Johnny, and I'll read Mark's lines.
Okay.
And so again, this is something that, as the Room fans and Tommy Wiseau fans, I wanted to just try this.
I love it.
To see if how it'll turn out. And again, meeting someone who's, I guess, who has a passion for Tommy Wiseau's art as well is very rare to me, because I felt like a standout talking about The Room.
Sure.
All my friends are like, they're like, why do you like this guy? Again, same thing with my family. They're just like, why do you like this guy's work? And it's just, there's something about it that just hooks you.
They're missing out. They're missing out, Ricky.
Okay, so you can go ahead and start.
Okay, and for those listening, I do the accent and everything. I don't do it well. Okay, so I will start off. So, all right, we're on the rooftop. I don't believe I hit her. This is bullshit. I don't believe it.
Oh, hi, Bart. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll edit that out. I'll edit that out. Fans, or the ones who are listening, the script is different from the actual film, the dialogue, because on here it says, I don't believe, but I think Tommy Wiseau says, I
don't believe I hit her. Well,
yeah.
versus I did not hit her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's
so
start from the top again.
take two.
Okay, take two. All right. I don't believe I hit her. This is bullshit. I don't believe it. Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hey, Johnny, what's up?
Oh, I have a problem with Lisa. She says I hit her.
Well, did you?
No way. I don't want to talk about it. What's new with you?
Not much. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about life. I wonder if girls cheat like guys do.
What makes you say that?
Well, I'm just thinking,
I don't have to worry about that because Lisa is loyal to me.
You never know. People are very strange these days. I used to know a girl who had a dozen guys. One of them found out about it, beat her up so bad she ended up in the hospital.
What a story.
You can say that again.
I'm so lucky. I have you as my best friend, and I love Lisa so much.
You are very lucky.
You should get a girl, Mark.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe I have one. I don't know yet.
What happened to this girl? Remember? Betty? That's her name, right?
I don't see her anymore. Besides, she wasn't that good in bed. She was beautiful, but we had too many arguments.
That's too bad. My Lisa's great when I can get it.
I can't figure women out. Sometimes they're too smart, sometimes dumb, and sometimes evil and seductive.
Seems to me that you're an expert on this.
No, Johnny, I'm definitely not an expert.
What's bothering you, Mark?
Nothing, forget it.
You have some secret? Why don't you tell me? We are like brothers.
No, I'll talk to you later. And that's scene.
And scene.
And again, thank you so much for doing this. Oh, man. And thank you so much, man. This is such a great, I guess for me, this is such a great way to meet more Room fans as well. And also just getting to know more of your work with Blue View Cinema and just overall, like how being a director, writer, an actor, filmmaker, and it's not a lot of people get exposed to the independent stuff,
It's true.
Everyone's always looking out to the major and the mainstream stuff, and with my podcast here, I do want to help push you guys out, and not just in Clean Slate as well, and just show that independent artists are that this is how everyone started. That's not everything was mainstream.
Right. Yeah, no, we appreciate that, Ricky. Guys like you really help us out as well, to get our name out there and all that stuff. But at the same time, I mean, if I can get an excuse to talk, it's fun,
Yeah.
and especially nerd out on something like this. So
Right.
I'm very flattered that you reached out. So thank you for that as well.
Was there anything that you wanted to plug at all before we end?
No, just our website. We're www.blueviewcinema.com. It's spelled exactly how it sounds. But yeah, you can check out all of our stuff there. You can check us out on YouTube as well, Blue View Cinema. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that jazz. So, but yeah, no, don't be shy. And please, if any of you watch our content, let us know what you think and maybe some stuff that you'd like to see too, because we're always into suggestions as well.
I also just want to shout out a few more things. Again, shout out to Clean Slate Productions as well. Shout out to Chin and Dow and Andrew. Thank you guys for actually setting this up with me and Josh as well. Also, I want to thank Baymong Productions for letting me use their instrumental in my podcast. You can check them out on Facebook, YouTube, as well. I have all their information in the links as well. Again, I do want to repeat that this following month I have 2 more interviews with 2 other great guests as well. Next Thursday, October 10th, I have Yer Yang, also known as Zhonglu as well. She's a Hmong entrepreneur in makeup, skincare. She tells folklore stories on YouTube. She does makeup care, nutritional health, and all that stuff as well. I do want to let our listeners know as well. I know if you follow her, she's on vacation, but I'm trying my best to reach out to her just to confirm a few things. Hopefully she reaches back to me, and we kind of just tie everything over and just kind of get everything scheduled. So I'm not 100% sure if she is up for the podcast, even though she said she was. So it's just all scheduling stuff right now. I'll definitely update you guys later next week. But on October 18th, I have Van Brooks as well. He's a social advocate, athlete, comedian, content creator on Facebook. Really well known in the Hmong community as well. Again, thank you so much for listening. And again, thank you, Josh, for being my guest as well.
My pleasure.
Good luck to you and your future projects with Blue View Cinema and all that as well. Again, my name is Ricky. This is Spoiler Force Podcast, episode 23. Read your comic books and watch all of your anime, please. And you can contact us at poplugpodcast@gmail.com. Have a great night.
If you enjoyed this episode, follow my Instagram at RickyVang92, RICKYVANG92, and follow Poplug Podcast on Facebook.com/PoplugPodcast.